185 Miles South, a hardcore punk rock podcast.
All right, welcome. If you want to support the podcast, please like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. Also consider checking out patreon.com/185 Miles South. Kick down $1, $3, $5 a month. That is much appreciated. This week, we have Greg from Take Offense. And the man, Daniel Sant from Over My Dead.
I will never give up on straight edge. I will never give up on straight edge.
Body, the fucking hardest band name to say.
That's why most people said OMDB.
But
OMDB.
Even that abbreviation's hard to say.
That's still a mouthful.
You could get tongue-tied on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got, we're back.
It's stuck in your mind.
People have been bugging me to just do a fun podcast because, the stuff can be kind of dry going through just interviewing fools. And so this time around, we are going to talk about our favorite records. I'm going to pause it real quick.
But anyway.
So we're going to discuss our favorite records of each decade, our favorite 7 inches specifically. So it cannot be a 12-inch EP, cannot be a 10-inch, cannot be a demo. It's got to be a 7-inch.
It has to be a 7-inch, and it also, we have agreed, just for the sheer making things more interesting, that we have nominated Minor Threat, both 7 inches, completely to the Hall of Fame.
Straight to the Hall of Fame.
Because then I would guess probably 1 and 2 would be Minor Threat 1, Minor Threat 2.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those things that doesn't need to be stated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it needs to be stated, you need some help.
Dang, hot takes already. How about that? All the Nard shit's in the Hall of Fame, too. That's why I didn't choose any of it. No,
you're just trying to get out of jail to your Oxnard listening public that are going to string you up next time you're by the Two Towers.
The Nard shit, all the Nard shit's better on the LP.
Hey, ruling out 12-inch EPs, too, took a lot of some of my first choices that popped into my head because I was like, oh, wait a minute, no, that's a 12-inch, not a 7-inch. So.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. This is hard. And also, a decade is a long time to choose just 5. So
yeah, I also, spoiler alert, cheated a little bit on my 90s list, but we'll get there.
All right, well, let's start off. We're going 1980 to 1989. Go ahead. You can go first, Daniel. We'll work away from me.
My number 5 pick.
Oh, we're not ranking, are we? You ranked it,
You're going to have to hit pause on this then.
Okay, all right. If we're not ranking, that makes me feel a little bit better because then I don't have to hurt any feelings, I suppose. Even my own feelings, like within, like, oh, is that better than this? Or I don't have to hear it from Don yelling at me later or anybody else. So
we'll just use that... it's like picking between your kids' excuse. You know? Love them all.
You hate them all.
Just toss one out.
Okay, so the first one that I will discuss then that I did put as number 5, but is the Sick of It All 7-inch on Revelation Records.
Okay.
Classic. What can you say?
I mean, not only the way it looks, like, let's start there. Like,
fully iconic.
I mean, the Alleyway Crew picture / the birth of kind of being called the Alleyway Crew from that, as well as, you know, just the gear they're wearing. And then the record starts with It's Clobbering Time.
Yeah, it's got half the hits from the LP.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, we were talking about this before, like, if an LP of a band completely overshadows the 7-inch, then the 7-inch doesn't really belong in the list. Well, this 7-inch stands, you know, it stands alone. It's not going to stand alone, but it definitely it earns its place in my 80s list. I love the way that the tracks roll into each other, and that the track listing has been severely well thought out. And I can only imagine, like, if that was a set, like, how sick a set it would be, side A into side B, you know?
Yeah, I actually, you know, I don't ever buy CDs anymore. I pretty much only buy vinyl, and I was at some record store in the last 5 years, and I actually bought the 7-inch, like the CD version of it. They still have it. It's still in print, isn't it? They never took it out.
I don't know, Revelation's really weird, like, that I think they still are sitting, because they must have had some deal where, like, if you print 10,000 in the cardboard sleeves, like,
it's just available.
It's a super crazy price.
It's funny because that 7-inch was kind of one of the first cool OG Rev pressings that I bought from Tang. I think I scored it for like $45 off the wall. And here
so
comes
it was a $15 record.
Yeah, $15 record, obviously. But here comes the hot take from me. I think Blood Sweat just completely overshadows it.
I agree.
And when I first got it and played it, you know, obviously you have the hits on there, but I think there's a couple filler tracks in there, and it's just a little sloppy, and not in like another hot take, not in like a good way. But I think it's definitely like the band developed, and then they just released that fucking juggernaut of a record where that thing, the production on Blood Sweat, just those group vocals, like they're just so.
I think if I would have heard
I
would have heard the 7-inch first, maybe I would have felt like you, Daniel. But I'm more accustomed to the LP.
Yeah,
like buying that CD in the last few years. This is the first time I listened to 7-inch in probably 10 or 15 years, and yeah, I mean that's just how I felt. I felt like it's like a dick tease for the LP.
It does sound thin compared to the LP. I will say that, but in a way, I don't know. It just, like, Friends Like You on the 7-inch, it just sounds so fucking great.
There's so many things that, like, if you would have heard it chronologically the other way, you would have, you know, different feelings. Like, did you ever see the movie Kung Fu Hustle? It's like, it's insane. It's like, I don't know, it's like a Kung Fu movie kind of mixed with like a Roger Rabbit thing.
It's a Jackie Chan film, right?
No, it's not a Jackie Chan, but it's like, I believe it's like South Korean. Anyway, I saw that movie, and I wish I would have seen the movie before it, Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah,
because when that came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, Shaolin Soccer is fucking mind blowing." But because I saw Kung Fu Hustle first, Shaolin Soccer to me was like, you know. And it's like if I would have seen them in the right order, I could have been mind blown twice.
I love when you pull from listening to the podcast on all other episodes and stuff. I love when you pull like, I've got the perfect example, and it's the most insane example.
Hey, I've straight slept on just diving into kung fu movies for a couple decades now. Like, just straight been sleeping on it, and I feel like I'm just missing out on a treasure trove of just great viewing pleasure.
Well, it's because you don't smoke weed.
All right, there you go. Excluded immediately.
Well, don't smoke weed.
Yeah.
No, you would have just gotten into it a lot earlier.
Yeah, we're getting
earlier in life.
Hot takes galore on there. Hey, but back on topic, back on track. Iconic photo for sure. Layout perfect.
Yeah,
sweet.
I mean, even just the back. The back of the record, like the way those first few Rev 7-inches are kind of obviously laid out.
You got that
by
stamp
hand.
of approval.
Yeah, they're so sick. And I think that's why I still consider the 7-inch to be in the list, because even though the LP, is amazing, is the fact that just the way it looks elevates it.
It's like the hardest photo until the fucking picture on Set It Off.
Yeah.
It's harder.
I don't know, dude.
Man, you could have a whole other podcast about like hard
photos.
band photos. I mean, that's
All right, toss yours out, Greg.
all right. Since we're not doing a whole best of 5 or a number 1 spot, I'll just pick randomly. Back on the New York hardcore vibe, Antidote, Thou Shalt Not Kill.
I got it also.
Yeah, that's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
and main reason, I mean, there is not one sleeper of a track on there. It all rolls in through. It's got that perfect early 80s hardcore fury, but you can hear some just slight metal tinge. Like there's a little tremolo picking there. I'm trying to think, what's the name of the fucking guitar player? Rob. I'm blanking on his last name, but they're still doing the band. Obviously, it's that dude
Well,
Drew
not
Stone
with
sings
not
for
with
it now.
that real singer.
Not
though.
with the real singer, it's that guy Drew Stone. But I just think that thing, man. I mean, it's
It's a bright,
rips.
it's a bright sounding record
Absolutely.
too. It's like the recording is so clean's not the right word, but you hear everything. It's very similar to how like the first Reagan Youth sounds.
Yeah.
like you hear every instrument, and it's like it's very bright, and it's just super drivey and clean.
Well, because it's early New York, like in New York hardcore, they looked a lot to the punk scene that took the musicianship and the recordings very, very seriously, and the fact that they, from there, really put a ton of effort into that. All the original New York hardcore bands, even though some of the recordings fall a little bit flat, like they go into the Don Fury and all of these places and really caring about the musicianship. The one thing about this Antidote 7-inch that's so crazy is like you look at it and you think it looks fucking amazing with the graffiti and then the Krishna picture and stuff. But if you think about it by itself without knowing that it's an amazing record, does it look that cool or does it not?
It's kind of weird. It's just a white background. It looks like someone just flapped a Polaroid on the front, hit it with a red marker.
The art's kind of small,
Yeah.
and it's like on a white background.
Yeah.
It's mysterious.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, which I was sorry to cut you off, but is it our first sketchy New York hardcore mosh part
Well, it's
for the good old foreign
It's
job
only
part?
the second record we've discussed.
But I mean, is it New York's first? Sorry, is it New York's first
Oh, it's
hard, sketchy kind of pit?
It has to be. It's 83.
A little like.
It's 83. So I mean, it's the same. It's the same year as the AF 7-inch. Yeah. So it's the first.
Yeah, and United Blood
it's
7
still-
doesn't have anything kind of.
What jobs are they worried about being taken?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's obviously American skinhead driven,
Absolutely.
like politically, and it is sketchy, but it's always been known as being sketchy, so it was sketchy then.
Yeah.
Like you've got bands showing up in New York around, not right around that time, but coming around later, where that record's regarded as one of the best of all time, but then like bands like Born Against and stuff are like, fuck that shit, fuck, sick of it all, fuck that, fuck all this macho shit.
Sick of it all. Won that debate.
Yeah.
Yo, Born Against, you better be extreme. I don't know. That Born Against record's pretty amazing too.
That one,
Of course.
Yeah, that one, honorable mentions, and kind of what beat that out was the Urban Way 7-inch and the Abuse 7-inch. And for some reason, I think that Antidote,
Well, I got the abuse, so we can talk about that.
yeah, that Antidote 7-inch to me is just a little tighter, packs more of a punch in my opinion. So
I would say it's catchier, right? And it has like the
Yeah.
high tentpole songs. Like, I mean, something must be done. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
And
a little galloping.
it was my
riff.
favorite Kill Your Idols song. Them just bringing it back and doing it so well. Well,
Yeah.
that and the Reagan Youth song they would do, both the best two songs in their set.
Okay. We'll get to that.
More hot takes.
So I got the abused. And
You don't hesitate to judge me by the way I look or dress. Just stick me in a category and put yourself to rest. Don't you feel it's better when you say what I'm saying? It's always supposed to be there when you have a different end. they do. Maybe more so than you. I've got freedom of thought. I'm not just another fool. It's becoming serious from the act of being different.
And it's just one of the best sounding records of there. Like the drumming is intense. The singing is like, it's just the gruffest voice, and it matches like the imagery.
The cover art,
Yeah,
too.
I mean, like you think that like the singer is going to look like that because of how he sounds, you know, and like I don't know, very catchy record, cool, you know, war game songs, a little out there, and I just love it. It's like taking a very basic, sick hardcore sound and pushing the boundaries just a tiny bit, but then maybe doing like the greatest straightforward hardcore 7-inch ever. So that's in my top 5.
There's a
And Drug Free Youth for Daniel.
but the
The worst song on the record.
the thing about that 7-inch though is because I never owned it as a record, and it never really kind of was around until the internet. You know, like the ability to listen to it on YouTube or I don't know, like it was never like bootlegged by Lost and Found, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those records where, you know, it's always talked about, but I wasn't that familiar with it until much later in my...
Which is funny that you brought that up, because getting a little too ahead when we hit into the 90s picks, there'll probably be... We could bring up how my generation, younger generations are super just flabbergasted over like the most obscure 97-inch, where some of you guys will be like, oh, no one cared about that band, or who, like, no one listened to them, or like, what? Like, there's no distribution of that. And now some of these bands can like play a This Is Hardcore Fest or a Sound of Fury Fest.
Well,
and it's just bonkers for them.
There was an example of that band, an example of that, like back in the early to mid 2000s. It's like there was a band that was jocked so hard that was never really a big thing, was Outburst. You know, they were somewhat popular, you know, they put out their record, but then it was like everyone from Locking Out, etc., like jocked the shit out of that band, and then this band like got like a massive resurgence that, you know, people who were around then were like, I never listened to that.
Or it just got buried with time. You
Yeah.
know, or you had to be like a New York dude to be into it.
I'm 90% sure that Abused was bootlegged by Lost and Found, though.
Oh, really?
So it kind of was in the cycle. But
Oh, okay.
they did random stuff.
I just never bought it then, I guess.
No, I know. And that Lost and Found stuff, it would come around. Well, they had it at Lose sometimes, because I remember one of us got like the bootleg of the Stalag. But they bootleg stuff like that, like the stuff you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah.
Right? Like they weren't bootlegging like AF and the Cro-Mags. They were bootlegging Stalag 13 and the Abused.
Yeah, bands that won't come after them
Well,
or
that's
show
true.
up in Europe and go to their warehouse and be like, what the fuck?
That's true. All right, take it over, Dana.
Okay, so let's talk about... I'll mix these up into just talking about it so we're not just straight on to Rev again. I'm sure all three of us have this on their list, probably, but the Negative Approach 7-inch.
That is on there.
Yeah, I considered doing this one in the
Almost
Minor
Hall
Threat
of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought that you said that you weren't gonna, and that's why we didn't Hall of Fame it.
Yeah, and then
You couldn't.
I couldn't leave it out.
You can't. It's the best 7-inch ever.
It's a blueprint.
I'll,
It's a straight blueprint
Of
to
what a
write
7-inch is.
hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, just take the song Ready to Fight, like, boom, huge group vocal, like, right in the beginning, pit, fast, tick, 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 back into the slow part. I mean, that's just, how many times has that been fucking replicated? It still gets replicated.
yeah, and
it's
like
it's always good. That's just that's the formula right there. Blueprint record.
so many different formulas on that record.
Yeah, definitely. But when you start a song with slow bass almost falling down a cliff face,
Fucking nothing, too. Good
you know, and it just starts to build up a little bit in speed, you know someone's getting smashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also, you know, that one's 1982. So it's a year before AF doing like United Blood and so forth. Like that.
Oh, it destroys anything Agnostic Front did, in my opinion.
Well,
Hot take.
I would just say
Number 3.
I would just say that like AF is one of those bands that like they do that bass intro formula, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
And so for Negative Approach to be a year before it with that song is wild. But I would
nothing like
Yeah, I mean, and those fucking lyrics.
how
too.
oi it sounds.
shit.
though.
Yeah.
like that's
well, Can't Tell No One, right? It's like
Yeah.
a perfect Oi song.
yeah. But I mean, that's this band was doing that before oi bands were doing that.
Even
Do you know what I mean?
Even why we something you're not just pit riff in the beginning. You're singing along, hits into the fast part. I mean, once again, just blueprints for hardcore to come. And you can even hear your New York hardcore bands being like, "Oh, we wanted to start a band that was doing that Negative Approach style, like that hard Negative Approach sound."
And arguably, the harder living was happening in Detroit than New York, even though those New York dudes were living in squats and
Don't tell that to an old New York guy.
living hard.
Well, I was only 2 years old.
You know,
So
I
don't
wasn't
know.
even an idea.
I was at the first Negative Approach show, just fucking
Show-
moshing.
shows you how valid I am on this 80s 7-inch thing where I'm not even.
No, but
a thought.
I think that's the best perspective because obviously none of us were around, and which records like have come out of that to latch onto us forever, and not just because there's been a few records on the list where I have the way the band has been post has almost ruined them being on the list for me.
That's a whole other podcast.
Now,
in itself.
Negative Approach is the opposite.
Yeah.
The way that band has been in today's era is the best. Like, they played Gilman for the Ceremony LP release like a few years ago, and John Brennan goes on stage. He goes, "How you doing? You doing all right?" And the crowd goes, "Ah," and he goes, "Well, you won't be after this." Boom, and they launch it. And I was like,
iconic.
fuck.
Hey, Take Offense has been able to play with them a bunch and different places.
Yeah.
And just the fact that it's not like anything fancy with those dudes. Like, they just show up in the van and they don't cool guy anyone. They just hang out. They'll just be at the bar. They'll be kicking it out in the parking lot or in the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I remember playing with them, and some kid goes up to John Brandon and he's just like, "Oh, where's your merch? Like, your merch isn't set up yet." And this was like right when the show just started. And I remember he just looked at him. He's just like, "Nah, fuck that, man. We're just doing old school style. Back in the 80s, we sold the shit like after the show. Maybe you had to like go to one of our trunks, like in our car." And I was like, man, that's so sick, because in this day and age where, I mean, shit, sometimes a hardcore show is pretty much a fucking
Swap meet.
a swap
Yeah,
meet.
you pay at the door so you can go in and buy a shirt.
Yeah, like a swap meet, or it's like a
eBay
fancy
flipping
streetwear
bullshit.
event now, just for a dude to be like, "I don't give a shit about our shirts that we have."
Yeah.
I was just like, man, ultimate respect.
Yeah, I went after that Gilman show. I went up to him and took a fucking picture with him, and
Check it out.
yeah, and
Check it
and he
out.
goes, "Don't worry, like I won't smile." That's what he said in the picture. I won't
absolutely-
ruin everything.
I absolutely love his voice now.
Oh my god!
Just how like fucking blown out and like insane it is.
It sounds scary.
It's like a Skeksis in Dark Crystal.
Legitimately scary voice. Like,
It's amazing. I also think
It's a glass shattering like. Oh god, it's so good.
I don't know the time frame, if it was the 90s or the early 2000s. He did that Easy Action Band.
Yeah.
That is so underrated, especially the second LP, the Friends of Rock and Roll. That
both-
thing is
And
fucking
so
insane.
I've never
Hyenas.
dived into that.
Laughing
any
Hyenas
of that
underrated
stuff.
as well. Well, they're rated very high in that kind of amphetamine, like reptile amphetamine kind of world, but they're, touring with Sonic Youth and stuff like that. Like, can you imagine rolling up John Brennan nodded out on heroin, like playing with Sonic Youth? Like, shit.
But Laughing Hyenas had a name. That Easy
Yes.
Action Band is very forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, that second record is a fucking ripper.
But how many hardcore kids showed up hoping, like, oh, come on, just give us... We talked about this on our podcast that we did before, but
going to see Orange
how
9mm.
stupid we would go to show up to see other bands expecting them to do an old, you know, just like those idiots always yelling out for Minor Threat or Fugazi show. And he's like, here's your $5 back.
I remember when NA came back and they played that Touch and Go Fest. It was like the 25th anniversary of the Touch and Go thing. And there was only footage of it. It was like, this is 2005, so already, you know, not advanced with like camera capturing technology. So the camera is super blown out, but it's them playing Ready to Fight. And it just sounded so powerful. It looked so sick. And it was just like, holy shit, are they going to play? Like, are they going to play anywhere near me? But just seeing that little video, you're just like, oh, like, they're coming back. Like,
well, they played that show in Pomona.
Yeah, and that's a show where had no right to go up there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing ever. Is like Rob left with Adi and Ben.
I can never avoid this fucking story. It's like my top 3 show regrets ever.
No, same. But Rob left and then like gets up there. He's like, oh shit. Didn't hit up Daniel if he wanted to go.
Oh, you didn't go?
I didn't know about it.
We all have something in common about this story now.
And to hear about, like, I mean, Rob's first review of it was it's the best show he's ever seen ever.
Yeah.
And the second one, that some girl like was moshing so hard, got like smacked in the side of the face. Her tooth flies out, and she just carries on. I was like, was that Sasha?
Yeah,
it sounds so Sasha.
Total X-Paw move.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the big regret. But I thought I was going to go crazy the first time they played the Che. I thought, like, oh, I'm going to go off. And all I did was stand to the side and just watch John Brennan the entire time. Because I've never seen the purest form of hardcore in person.
Well, that was my first time seeing him, and I participated.
Yeah.
I had, like, the perfect, like, you guys won't know, but, you know, you bowl your best between, like, your third and fourth beer. So you're a little lubricated, but you're not like too loose. You can't pull it together, you know.
You're right where you need to be.
Yeah, I was like, I had that the perfect bowling alley buzz, and then like get to see the greatest band, and it was perfect.
But just the reason that I'm saying like I just stood and watched him is because I think of, you know, when somebody is real and authentic beyond belief, and then you think about 30 years of tough times added on to when they first recorded this record, and then you see that screeching like death voice coming out of it. It was just like everything was just
it's too real.
Perfect.
It's almost too real, right?
Yeah. To bring it back to bowling, like John Brannon straight up looks like a dude that just like goes to the same bowling alley for 30 years.
Yeah.
He's just like in one lane by himself, and it's just like smoked at least like a carton.
And the bartender knows his drink, just brings it over to him.
No, he looks like the guy that his favorite bowling alley just got shut down the week before.
Yeah.
So I got AF, United Blood. I had to. Victim in Pain is probably the greatest hardcore record ever, and how we were talking about with Sick of It All, with the 7-inch and the LP, I kind of feel the same way on this one. But this record it's another one when you talk about Negative Approach writing the blueprint of hardcore. This is there. I mean, this is 10 songs on a 7-inch, and it's like,
and it looks fucking sick.
It looks sick, and it's like where Negative Approach wins on the aggression and the recording's better.
And the songs.
And the songs are better, mostly.
Oh, the fridge just started up again, if anyone's wondering what that is.
Ooh, that is, if you have an OCD and you're listening to this thing, man.
I'm trying my best to make the quality as good as possible. There's always something like a fucking fridge.
No, it's the Narco. Even though it's a San Diego fridge.
No, but okay, so I would say the AF, they do a great job of like, how you have something be so aggressive yet so catchy. So United Blood, Friend or Foe. I mean, like you're talking about Friend or Foe is fucking catchy as just a guitar part. So for like an aggressive hardcore record, 1983, and the fucking hook is a riff, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's like, it's very similar to like, you know, you're hooked in with the fucking riff, you know?
Well, what they do so well is that they grew up on punk, and then they put it through that, you know, reality machine.
Yeah, Roger will be the first dude to tell you
and
that.
Roger's, I mean, I've never met the guy, but I read his book, and from seeing interviews and stuff, like, that guy's a fucking music fan.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he's a fan. And that rules. Like, as someone that is a fan of music, like, it makes, like, the kinship of, like, listening to stuff, like, just deeper for me. Like, oh, you're not a dude that had an opportunity to, like, sing in a band and knocked it out of the park.
He's a record dude.
Yeah, you're actually, like, a guy that's, like, a connoisseur of this music. Okay. And it's not all, like, I don't know, that makes it a little less ego-driven, right? For
out of all the older New York hardcore bands that Take Offense has done tours with or have played with, Agnostic Front, hands down, is one of the best bands to tour with. They are so humble. They are so cool. I can't say any bad thing about them as human beings. Like, they are just the best fucking people. And they treat you well. Like, they look out for you. They try to help you out. They'll watch your band, which is huge if if you're like meeting a hero band for the first time and they're not completely ghosting you for an entire tour, and like maybe you talk to one of them at the end, which there's some New York hardcore bands that I won't name them, but we've had a lot of experiences like that. But with AF, I mean, it's just the shit. I mean, Stigma, come on.
Well, just from that Ian McFarlane documentary on them,
absolutely.
You can tell that Roger, I mean, this is just my interpretation of seeing that, but he has that chest that has all of the moments of Agnostic Front that have gone before, and I'm sure he has that with all the other records that mattered to him around the time, and it just shows that there's an absolute love there, which is fantastic. And then, it's $1,000 record for a reason, you know, like it is a Mount Rushmore hardcore record. Like, even if Victim in Pain does overshadow it, it's, there's plenty of people out there that say it doesn't,
There's also people out there that claim they don't like ice cream and pizza and swimming and fucking weirdos.
It's general fun.
All right. That's 4 out of my 5. What do you guys
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know why.
Go ahead, Greg. You say another.
Yeah, I think I got one that hasn't been mentioned yet. Poison Idea, Pick Your King.
Right on the border for me. And again, the best musicians we've talked about so far. I mean, the tightest fucking hardcore punk band.
When the first time I heard Pick Your King, the main thing I immediately heard was the guitar pig's tone. It's not really distorted that much, and then you got the bass that's beefing it up. But I mean, it's just one of those things from start to finish. It's just fucking ripping hardcore. Like, it's just no breaks. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, talk about iconic cover art too. Like, one side Jesus, one side Elvis, just black and white, and then pure hate. I mean, good lord.
Yeah, and playing as fast as you can possibly play while hanging on to like doing a solid double time beat of like, well, whoever knows what I'm talking about. I don't know how to describe that.
I
but they're not falling into like the hardcore thrash like cheat drum beats. they're doing is like fast they can play double time like Lombardo shit.
Yeah.
Like a Motorhead drummer.
Yeah.
Fucking, you just hitting 16ths on the hi-hats.
Yeah.
Like the entire time.
Yeah,
No,
which makes it so drivey and gnarly.
Yeah, which is, you want to tell, it's like, how do you play fast? Like, if you want to teach kids, like, how to play fast music, like, you put that record on there.
Agree.
And it's not on, like, the absurdly fast, where it's just, like, kind of on some blast beat shit. Like, it's just pushing that.
Yeah.
It's just steady, like you said. And it just, I can't find a fucking flaw on that thing. Like, just start to finish.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
Now that's a record that's never really registered with me, but that's, as you'll hear from the rest of my picks, that's not what really lives within me. That's not my like DNA of hardcore.
Personal
you know what I mean?
preference is also a factor in these.
Oh,
these
without
five
doubt.
lists
Yeah,
for
mine
sure. Yeah.
literally are
Yeah.
just personal preferences. I mean, they also, I think, in San Diego eyes, suffer from being so, I don't know, they kind of played with, associated with other bands that were not as well respected, do you know what I mean? So they aren't one of the ones that, like, at the time where you're discovering records.
Quit being vague. Give us.
They'd
Crater.
come and play like with bar punk bands and
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah,
Just
and
gross-
things like
just
that.
gross
like,
bar punk shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel
or
like-
gross bar punk stuff, or like Soma, like latching on to some shit band that they didn't deserve to be opening for, but were because of, you know, it was that kind of thing. Like, oh, like
weird era, and they've been at it for fucking so long. I mean, Feel the Darkness too is a perfect record.
Yep.
And just to sum them up, I remember we got to play with them randomly. No, like two shows on a European tour like 2 years ago. And I remember they pulled up to the van, and fools in the band had this thing, they called it Special Cola. And they had speed in like a soda bottle. And these fools were fucking drinking it, and they're still like, they're all like pushing 50. We shared like a flat with them. I remember like just hearing one of them sounding like he was dying in the bathroom in the morning. And I remember the singer Jerry just like comes out from his bunk and just like looks at me, because we're both just hearing someone just like retch out like everything out of their body. He's just like, oh, that's gross. And so I gotta just respect just being on that vibe. Like, it's nothing to promote, but it's like those dudes are just like the real deal. Like, they truly just don't give a shit. They just play to the gig. They just get fucked up and just play fast, ugly, fucked up music for people that are ugly and fucked up.
I mean, the whole "this is Boston, not LA" type vibe. I mean, it is ugly.
Yeah,
like all that hardcore from there is it's fucking ugly and abrasive and hard, and that's what makes
Portland.
it hard. You know, I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm saying like they fall in line with like.
They fall in with like
Freeze.
the gangrene.
just
And
very
the gangrene
nihilistic,
and the
nihilistic 80s viewpoint, where it's just on some Darby Crash shit.
yeah, but I mean, the bands that they fall in with are like the Freeze and Gangrene and like
absolutely.
the really like just abrasive stuff that you've really got to seek out what you want from it.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. That even SSD is like that. Like, it's those bands that are so fast and so raw that you either love that music or you don't.
Dude, if you want to talk about fast music, that I don't know what the recording is, but it got re-released as that Gangrene, the Preschool record. It's like on CD. That thing is fucking ridiculous, dude. It's like it's like this. It's like the Pick Your King stuff, but faster.
Yeah.
And still doing like the double time, not like falling into drum cheats.
That's what I'm talking about. This kind of hardcore where it is like you really, either it's your thing, like it's Greg's, you know, or you're searching for a bit of melody somewhere else. You know, it's like, even though there's melody in those songs, it like melts your face off before you get to it.
Just being from the Chula Vista scene, you had like 2 feet planted in both camps. Like, you know, you had your like 1 foot and some spiritual amenity style stuff, and then the other foot is like planted into just some dark, twisted, fast.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's getting shit faced. You're in a backyard. There's dirt flying everywhere. Circle pits galore. So it's like I was able to get an appreciation for just like both styles.
I can see it too. I mean, I can just see it in the way Chula just acts. You know, like it fully does.
Oh, how do we act, Daniel?
You know, dirt flying,
Damn.
like
Dirt flying.
Dirt flying. No, we say that with pride.
Yeah.
You know.
How many more do you have?
I've got 3.
3 more
Yeah.
of on your actual list?
Yep.
Oh shit. Okay, I have one that I think you probably have. You have New York Crew.
No, that's
I
an
have
honorable
New York-
mention.
I have New York.
Okay. Let's talk about New York Crew.
It's an
Then my
honorable
list is
mention
done.
strictly because the other 3 that I have are better.
Whoa. Here comes
No
another
way.
hot take.
No way. It's a perfect 7-inch for like. I don't know.
The drumming's a little bit.
I can see that. I can see that.
That's,
Okay, I don't know what the waves are. This is first wave. This is second wave. Shit. Like, what's the judge?
That would be second wave NYHC.
Yeah, it's kind of like right
Because they're
right in the
singing
beginning.
about first wave.
Yeah, right in the beginning of it.
Dude, this is like as good as it gets. Straight up. It's fast. It's brutal. It's like angry. You got like the Oi throwback with Warriors.
Yeah.
You got New York Crew.
And a new take on it, too. Not just, you know, adding the NYHC backups instead of going, Warrior.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool.
And New York Crew is possibly the greatest hardcore song ever. To have that like that bridge part, the "We have seen back down blood, down now," and then like to go fast right there, to go fast again,
Back into
just
the
to go
pit.
back to slow, like. Dun, 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 dun. I remember, I think it was Shutdown. They played the Showcase Theater and they did that song. And I blasted the dude off stage, like not purposely.
Put your arm around him
but
and
like,
took him down.
I was like, oh my god, like just when you're 20 and wilding.
Yeah, and
You know?
the minute a band that you were somewhat appreciating because you didn't really know too much of their stuff, but then they played one of your favorite songs, you're like, oh, I can fucking go crazy now.
Yeah, like when it does that like little like that bridge thing before it goes fast again, it's just like, oh shit, this song's fucking special. And then just to like milking that breakdown, and then like the lyrics on the breakdown, like
Guess
the
Who Won?
sentimental. What's that?
The Guess Who Won?
Oh, of course, that's a great line. The whole thing's great. The whole
Yo,
thing's great.
just one of the first time, and I think everyone's reaction when you hear "Fed Up," and then just a fucking mother of all pits at the end.
Yeah.
And also, if you're straight edge,
Yeah, that
Judge.
that fucking stamps it for you. Like when I heard it, I was just like, "Nah, I'm straight edge." Like,
yeah.
like
because-
this is driving it home.
I mean, I have probably the worst Judge hammers ever tattooed on me. I mean, I don't know what the tattooer was looking at when I gave him the Judge hammers as reference, but they look like they've got sick flame work around them as well.
What?
And they also look like they're
Where's this bad Larry at? Where's Lonnie?
architecture.
Showing tattoos it's a timeless podcasting tradition.
Oh, whoa. What year was this?
Like 94.
Oh,
It
wow.
looks almost as bad as my flaming hardcore tattoo.
But it looks like an architect's, like, you know, one of their things that they measure things out with rather than a hammer. But anyway, the reason that the Sick of It All Dragon and the Judge Hammers are like my first tattoo is, I mean, enough said, like, and the fact that those records are still in my, you know, purview now.
Yeah, to be that like angry and that catchy, is like ridiculous.
And I will have to say that perhaps New York Crew may have made it into the top 5 if they had not come back.
Oh,
And
that's your one.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know.
I got a Judge hot take for you. So, I mean, a similar story. Like, my first tattoo was the hammers I still got.
But that's because you're a Hammer Skin.
That's a whole other podcast.
Just
right there.
kidding. Just kidding.
So, when they came back and they played one of the Black and Blue Bowls at...
See, and I heard that was amazing.
Yeah.
Now
and
just quit.
Here comes my other, like, I fucking playing Take Offense, and I played with this story, kind of a band, so here's a story about it. So I apologize for this.
I actually think that's why people are probably listening.
Nah.
I mean,
No way.
one of the reasons.
So which was cool because we were sandwiched in between Altercation and District 9, so that's just like a wet dream for me right there. But the talk was because no one had seen Mike Judge still. We got there early and hearing them sound check and just the fucking power. Because Webster Hall, I mean, like, iconic venue already. Great sound system. So just to see them show up, but there's no Mike Judge yet. But they fucking, oh Christ, what did they even sound check with? I'm blanking on it. That's what happens when you're just in Take Offense. Is your memory starts to go vicariously through other members.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to say Edgewater.
But yeah, so so it's like building up to the night, and I just remember keys, phone, wallet, put them all at the merch. Then I was like, just gonna let this happen. And I mean, they come in, it's just like come out. Oh, they were playing the fucking Imperial March theme, just kind of corny, but I was like, whatever. And then it's just like go, and it's just explosion, and it's just dive city. Like, it was the Olympics of stage diving.
Yeah.
Just being able to like let go, and it's like, this is as good as it's gonna get.
That was the first song on Bringing It Down, right?
Yeah.
Your barrel gone.
Yeah, in case I have to. I mean, that's an iconic ground.
Yeah.
I have to like the fact that you had
caught it.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught it. So anyway, that was as good as it was gonna get, I think. And I even made the decision, like, I'm never going to watch them after this moment. You know, and they fucking crushed it. It sounded powerful. And it felt as real and as genuine as it was gonna get. So then a couple years later, actually, I heard last year they were thinking about playing Brick by Brick, and I was just like, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And I got really upset.
Well, for the people that don't live in San Diego, Brick by Brick is a bar, and that's all. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and
the judge would consider playing a bar.
Yeah.
It's a bigger bar where I don't know, bigger hardcore and death metal bands play.
Yeah.
So you don't need the money that bad.
Well, it's not even that. It's just people, the booking agents that book some of these bands, like, they know about the shade. Like, they know that there's other places, and a bar will, obviously cover a guarantee. And, like, I completely fucking get it. You're an older band. Like, I completely understand. Like, to break off from, like, your adult life to go play just a couple of shows, like a weekend in California, like, this shit needs to be covered. Like, especially with just how outrageously expensive it is out here. But at the same time, it's like, man, if you're this band that, like, hey, I hate to break it to you, just fucking means so much to people. Like, if you're just gonna opt out and play a bar, I mean, that leaves us sour.
I don't know,
It's
like
sour
what constitutes as a bar and what constitutes as like House of, like, would you be pissed if they came and played House of Blues?
Well, House of Blues is at least all ages. Like, that's fine. Like, just the fact that it's
That's the
21
difference. That's the
up,
difference.
21 and up. And I should have specified. Like, I don't give a shit that there's alcohol being sold. It's just the fact that it's 21. When I always say a bar show, I'm referring to, the 21 and up cutoff.
I'm with you.
And
no
it's just,
hardcore band should be
yeah,
playing bar shows.
We're guilty of it.
You're guilty of it because
there's no other options.
Built. It's been because other bands have co-signed to allow that to happen. That it's happened. It's a shame.
The advantage of bar shows is all the creepy hardcore dudes aren't hitting on underage girls.
Well,
there you go. Hey, that's the way to get your fucking podcast canceled, homie. I was kidding.
How was that?
I was just
when
joking.
Judge played Gilman,
just the fact you said creepy.
Oh, they're not out there? You've been going to hardcore shows for how long? You don't think there's a bunch of fucking weirdo dudes looking at little girls?
Of course.
When Judge played Gilman, they played, and I did not participate at all in it. Mainly because even prior to them playing, like, I have a bit of a, I get annoyed at certain things, and the fact that Porcel, who is probably on his 8th time claiming straight edge, has a fucking clothing line called True Till Death that he's profiting off people.
I see it on Instagram all the time.
Yeah, and that means it's a fucking ghost selling it if it's True Till Death because he's fucking died a million times. It just strikes me as being cheesy as fuck. And then when they were done playing, I was there, and when bands come off stage, they kind of look for their friends or whatever. But and this is, maybe I shouldn't even say this shit, but
Who say it?
Sammy came off stage and there was no one for him to talk to. So he comes up to me, he's like, "Wow, you're really dry for a Judge show." And I just looked at my hand with the X on it. Enough said.
What is he saying, that you weren't sweaty?
That I didn't. Why weren't you going off to my band? Is essentially how I took it, and I was just like,
all my interactions with Sammy has been cool.
I've met him before when he was in Civ and stuff, and he was great, but I just thought it was such a douchey thing to come up and say. And
why weren't you going off to my band, bro?
I mean,
what's wrong, bro?
Yeah,
I saw those '94 style hammers on your shoulders, bro.
That's how I pictured you, as up front, just hugging the rail like this.
Check it out.
Pointing.
All right. Do you want to know what records are better?
Yes.
Have you guys all said your 5?
Yeah,
I
my 5 are
got
done.
one more.
Okay, go
and
for it.
we can just be quick about it, and it might get ripped apart. But the Dirty Rotten EP from DRI. I mean, just the absurdity of fucking 22 songs and catchy, like what we were talking about, like writing super fast songs, but somehow putting hooks, like Commuter Man. Dude, I don't need society. Like,
again, if you're talking about like a blueprint record of how to do something, right? Although no one really did it again.
Well, you know what? Everyone else picks up on it is just okay. They drop that, right? And it's just like the absurdly fast stuff. And then you could say like, okay, Siege from Boston does it, and Siege is one of those like blueprint like power violence bands. Enfest picks it up, but all those bands have this like whole like mysterious like thing about it, and you had to like be in the right like scene to know about it. I think people were like super gatekeeping of those bands. Like I'm not sure.
Well, no, I think they were outside the city.
Right? DRI suffers from DRI fans. Their legacy suffers from DRI fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, they played They played back another Brick by Brick shout out on this podcast. San Diego's premier 21 and up metal and hardcore punk venue. Like DRI played recently, so I mean, come on,
Brick by Brick's gonna chip in on the Patreon.
Yo,
dude, Brick by Brick is the premier spot if you want to get blasted by a Marine,
or a Nazi.
Oh yeah, and they've actually cleaned up the Nazi issue of Brick by Brick. Like I can vouch for that, but
it's by the beach. They can't clean it up completely.
DRI played not too long ago, and I mean, okay, so I want to throw it out there that the average age of the people that are watching DRI on a weekday in San Diego, Brick by Brick, have to be like your late 30s or up crowd. Dude, there was like broken legs. Like fucking someone got their tires slashed. So back to your statement, like DRI suffers from DRI fans. Yo, we played with them at the Marlin Room, and there was like a fucking kid who's probably obviously there for DRI, like blasted, and he's just sitting in their parking spot, just like drinking a 40, and like DRI like pulls up, and he's like, "Hey, can you move? Like, we gotta park the van." And he's just like, "Fuck you!" It's like, dude, I remember like me and AH were like just looking at the kid, and we were like, "Yo, that's fucking DRI, dude. Like, you need to move." And he's just like, ugh. Like, just like. So yeah, like they suffer. Those are like great. Like if your fan base is just that fucking Neanderthal, because you can suck every night and they don't care. No, they don't care because they're just like, ugh. You know. So you're fucking set up. Like, I wish we had DRI style fans. Like, it'd be fucking fantastic.
I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah, there's trying to cross over into that.
But I mean, DRI, like when you think of thrash, you think of thrash metal, but you also, to my mind, that comes up. Like DRI is just as thrash as Slayer is. You know.
Like a wild Indian from outer space, drunk and high on weed.
One of the fucking best lines.
So he's not from India,
dude,
or what was perceived as India. He's from outer space.
Also, your comment about like DRI being just as thrash as Slayer, like every fucking autistic metal dude that might be listening to that is just like. Just weaponizing right now.
Oh, good.
Like how fucking off you were with that.
I mean, to an extent, I'm saying like the yin to the yang.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like Slayer and DRI sound the same
I
can actually like some Slayer, but DRI, I gotta jump out the window if that comes on.
You need to just listen to the track Abduction from DRI because they actually got like it's about children being abducted. And it's got like one of the dumbest like 2-note pits at the end, and they just have like a choir of school children going like abduction. It's like
do you know what? It may. I do need to listen to that because I have a rule that kid backups or gospel backups, I'm in. If they're on any song,
this is right up your fucking alley. Then I can't give you a better example of that.
All right,
that's my 5. I'm tapped out.
All right, go ahead.
Are you tapped out?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh shit, I have 3 left.
3 that are better than New York Crew.
Yes.
Daniel Saint of the hard as hell to pronounce Over My Dead Body super fast OMDB.
Gorilla Biscuit 7-inch.
Not better than Judge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
in my opinion, it is.
That's like your opinion, man.
The bass to High Hopes to start it.
Oh yeah, great.
Fucking Big Mouth. Even, maybe not as. Oh fuck! I listened to them both going into this, and Judge didn't make it, but GB did.
You want to talk about an LP smashing on the 7-inch?
Yeah,
Start today.
yeah, absolutely.
Of course, but the 7-inch I regard as a different Gorilla Biscuits to the LP.
No, I'll agree on that.
A little more emphasis on the mosh, dare I say, on the 7-inch as opposed to
just a little more raw in general, right?
And
like a rawer mosher.
I mean, if you're gonna think Youth Crew, like this 7-inch along with YOT LPs is what kind of defined the genre. Do you know what I mean? The way the songs are formulated. Also, if you noticed on my things, like the Judge 7-inch looks amazing, but the Gorilla Biscuit 7-inch, holy fucking shit! I mean,
I'll give it that.
Dude, it's a good record.
Yeah, it's good, but
top 25 for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god, I shouldn't have waited to go last with these. But here are the top 2. These are my top 2. Alone in a Crowd.
Is anybody there? Does anybody care? Does anybody see what I see? Do you remember when we used to hang out and we knew what we were all about? Different.
And Side by Side.
All you goddamn things good to say about those who serve you. Think twice about those ones to kill. This goes out to you and your crew. You hate your words. Drink your words.
Okay.
Knew these were coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, other than Ian MacKaye, Jules Massey, best vocalist in hardcore of ever.
No Wide Awake 7-inch.
No, but it is an honorable mention.
Okay.
Just because when shit goes down, no one's around. I mean, God, how Youth Crew is that? No, so Side by Side, the 7-inch is absolutely perfect. We're talking about
It starts with Backtrack, right?
Backfire.
Backfire.
Yeah.
Hating life.
Yeah.
You can't fuck with that. That's
I
the first.
revisited this stuff too
before
making my list, and
Perfect first song.
Yeah, it's tough, especially Alone in the Crowd. Definitely an honorable mention on that thing as well.
Well, see, to a lot of people, like, you know, you can, because it has the same singer, like a lot of people will lump the two things in together.
They're two different beasts for sure.
Two different bands, like bands
sure.
featuring Killing Time and whatnot for Alone in the Crowd. And I mean, When Tigers Fight is very different than
100%.
anything Side by Side did.
Alone in the Crowd,
It's the only
way
slow-
more
it's the
tighter,
only
way
slow
more
song.
put together.
And I mean, is anybody there like, Jesus Christ, what a song.
Absolutely.
Basically, all four songs, the thing, going back to what we talked about on the Antidote 7-inch, the thing that's funny about the Alone in the Crowd is like, oh my God, how iconic it looks because you know the record is so good. But really, the back artwork has nothing to do with the front.
Yeah.
You know, the record spinners have nothing to do with the rest of it. It's just like, literally someone was just like, well, we got this, this, and this. Put it together. But every time someone does an Alone in the Crowd cover, you know, unless they completely butcher it, the outpouring, like Death Threat used to do the controversial choice of the songs, only controversial in a 2019.
Oh, go back to your high school.
Yeah, like the groupie song.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not saying it's only controversial because of that, but I'm saying like at the time, you know, it was able to be probably regarded as something else because there probably were certain people, both male or female, hanging around just trying to get cred. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, those two are by far my top 1980s choices, without Minor Threat being involved, because I think Jules is just the way his voice sounds, the way he looks in all the pictures, like Fred Perry, fucking big ass Adidas, like, you know, Forum highs.
I mean, you don't have to tell me about Adidas Forum highs.
I know.
Yeah.
Are you sure that Greg didn't get close to selling you on DRI?
No.
You don't want to change out your number 1 and 2?
No. But I love that DRI was last listed by Greg, so it sounds like it was his number 1.
Hey, the Side by Side, I mean, just the iconic
The
B-boy
album
style.
cover,
I mean,
And
silhouette.
yeah.
Which is kind of like daring for a youth crew band of that. Well,
And
not
how-
so much because it's 80s New York.
Yeah. Yeah, because those dudes were like rocking Public Enemy and LL shit, but the length of the feet on those dudes is wild.
You got to have like completely unproportional drawing. Like, I mean, back to the Abused 7-inch. Was that like maybe the first like skinhead dude breaking out of a brick wall kind of thing that made it to Wax?
If it's 83,
Yeah.
you gotta always assume it's the first one.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, the Side by Side, like PB Music Trader used to be over on Garnett and Dawes, back in the day.
I think it's a CrossFit thing now, is it?
Yeah, I think so. And I was just
shout out PB Pub.
flicking through the used 7-inches, which, oh my God, there was never anything in there. They were all 99 cents. And I pulled out first press, side by side, 99 cents. And that's been my best record find of all time, to this day.
Well, how can it get much better than that?
Yeah, it will never
I've always
get better.
heard the stories about people finding shit like, at a thrift store. And I've done my digging in thrift stores. I've never gotten close.
No.
I mean, I'll settle for fucking having a fourth copy of like Bob Seger Against the Wind. Like, oh, sick! That's like a decent thrift store score.
It's such dusty digging. You're gonna have to do.
Shit's the worst.
Oh, who's coming in? Oh, hey, I can segue into this because we got AH in here.
Don't bring me in this.
Hey, remember when you found Outburst miles to go at the music trader in Chula?
Yeah.
Remember that? I think it was like the first time we heard Outburst. Had you heard Outburst before buying the 7-inch?
I heard it, yeah.
I think, yeah. Yeah, it was like a cool random ass find in a music trader.
That's good.
Yeah. And AH is out.
All right, my honorable mentions for the 80s, the ones I'd written down were Judge, New York Crew, Chain, True Till Death, Youth of Today, Can't Close My Eyes, the Underdog 7-inch, and SSD. Obviously, there's even more than that, but those are the ones that I kind of just put a little wrap around.
Wasn't the SSD a 12-inch?
Well, we're talking about glue, right? No, Get It Away, duh.
Yeah,
No,
Get It Away.
Was that a 10-inch?
No, it is a 12-inch. I'm cheating, so...
Yeah, back
SSD, get out of here.
Hey,
Get it away.
Back to that 12-inch.
That might have made my top 5 if
EP
it was
type deals, where you just why would throw
What are
your
your guys'
curveball.
honorable? Did you have any honorable mentions or?
DRI.
I was gonna. I had.
I love that record. I
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
record, and I'm dealing with it, and I think I have Thrashstone, so can't talk shit. It was just funny. I mean,
Was that you in that parking spot?
very well could have been. What year was it?
Iconic logo. Come on.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's funny
Definitely iconic.
how much we agree on things, but then like something like that is such a big break between you guys.
But when you say iconic logo, whenever I see that on someone as a T-shirt and they're like coming into my store, I'm like, oh god,
You're about to have a good fucking time. That's good interaction.
I'm about to be like, when's this guy leaving?
He's just gonna walk in there like, oh, you sell fucking toys and shit.
That's fucking sick.
That's sick. Hey, do you have those? They made like a little Motorhead War Pig figure. Does Super 7 have those?
Yes.
Are they in stock?
In stock
I
now.
will be acquiring one.
Yeah. Should have told me. I would have brought one down.
Oh fuck! Well, there you go. Yeah, but honorable mention. I was gonna throw in that Outburst Miles to Go 7-inch because of how influential it was to kind of like my generation.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
when they picked it up and we started hearing it, because it's just kind of like what's cool about that 7-inch is this is a really common line about this band is it looks like the AV club of a school, like took a band photo on top of a building.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just awesome hardcore.
But it almost has like a skate look to it.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
just, it's got like a...
It's got the bubble graffiti.
Yeah,
got
it's just hard enough for like, you can like, possibly hurt one of your friends too. But it's inviting enough for you to like want to come to the show, sing along. It's just kind of that perfect blend.
What year is that? Is that
I
88?
think it's 89.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I thought it was right
at the
around
end.
Yeah.
right at the end. Cool.